Hey guys, Jared James here, and really excited to be doing this with you guys on a topic that is important within your business, because going to a listing appointment and taking second place is not like going to the Olympics and winning a silver medal. You get nothing. And so this one is called How to Win the Listing from Beginning to End. If you want a copy of the actual manual that I'll be using for this, there's an actual manual we use that breaks down the 4 stages and everything. Just send an email to yes@jaredjamestoday.com, yes@jaredjamestoday.com. As always, guys, big thank you to the South Carolina Realtors, South Carolina Association of Realtors, for putting this on and offering this to you. I always have a blast being with you guys. I'm connected with so many of you. So many of you are in our programs and everything else. Make it a point too, if you have a question or you just want to connect, go to www.connectwithjared.com. Again, connectwithjared.com. Follow on Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat and Facebook and our podcast and everything. But you can DM me on Instagram or one of those other ones as well if you have a question or you just want to stay connected. So make sure you do that. Take a lot of notes today, but again, if you send the email, you're going to get a copy of this that breaks it down for you, where we talk about the 4 phases of the listing presentation, the 4 phases. The first is the pre-call. The second is the initial call. The third is the walkthrough. And the fourth is the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to break down these 4. You can actually go and get a copy of the notes there if you send us an email. We'll send that to you. But in the pre-call, this is before you actually get on there to schedule the appointment or anything, there's a couple things that you want to do. Number 1, you want to research your client. We live in a world today where you can put their email into Google and you can find out their social networks, where they're active, what they're into, where they work, like what teams they like, everything. You want to know what they're into so that you have the ability to build that rapport when you're talking to them. The second thing you want to do is you want to research their local neighborhood. You want to research it just like you're an appraiser. And that way you appear as the expert if you start talking to them and they start saying things like, well, my house is worth more because, we updated our kitchen and we did this and that and, all this other kind of stuff. You want to position yourself as an expert early on and say, yes, but the sale down the road at the Joneses also had an updated kitchen. They did granite opposed to whatever. And you want to sound completely like you know the area, you're the expert, because that's not only going to help you now, it's going to help you when you get to the end. They start talking about commissions and all this other stuff because you're an expert. You're not somebody who's just winging it or grabbing stuff offline or whatever. You do that right from the beginning, okay? The other thing you want to do is in the next phase is the initial call. You want to listen to what they say on the phone and fuss over what matters to them, okay? So if you're listening to them and they're telling you all about, and they keep bringing up things like the bird bath in the backyard that their grandfather built, and that's why their house is worth so much more than, the other house that you brought up, then you know 2 things. Number 1, you know that they're nuts, right? Number 2, you know that you need to fuss over the bird bath because it matters to them and it's emotional, okay? On this initial call, you also want to find out the answer to 3 questions. Those 3 questions are, why are they moving? Okay, you need to know that. What is their time frame? Not only for when they want to list, but also when they need to sell by. That's a completely different conversation, okay? And the third thing, very crucial, is what happens if they don't sell by then, okay? I want them to actually go there mentally. What happens if you don't? Because in their mind, they're just like, you're going to put it up, anyone can sell it, it's going to sell right away. What happens if it doesn't? Make them mentally go there. Okay, you wanted to be out by this date. What if you're not out by that date? What if your kids aren't in the new school system at the next place in time? What are we going to do? What's plan B? I want them to emotionally live it, because your mind doesn't know the difference between conscious and subconscious, okay? And so you might have somebody who says to you, well, if you're so good and you sell so many houses, how come you're talking to me so much about plan B if that's probably not what's going to happen? It's a simple response. Because as a professional, it's my job not only to let you know what happens when good things happen, but also, would you believe me if I told you that every time I thought something was going to happen in the market that I don't control, that every time I thought it was going to happen, it happened? Would you believe me? They're probably going to say, no, I think you're full of crap. Exactly. So my job as a professional is to do my best to make sure it does happen, but also to prepare you for just in case something outside of our control happens that doesn't allow that. No different than when you get on a flight and you're going somewhere and they have no intention of that flight going down, but they still go over what to do if the flight goes down. Because if they don't, they're not a professional and they have no business flying that plane. A professional still prepares you for what happens if the unknown occurs. That's all I'm doing as a professional. Okay, makes sense. And now, once again, they're listening to you and they're thinking, shoot, I'm dealing with a professional right now. Like, this is legit. Okay. Now, next thing you want to do while you're on the initial call, make sure both decision makers will be present. Now, this is an obvious one, and most people are prepared for this, and they know it's because you just want them there so they can make a decision. And so what you want to do is use a different excuse while you want them there and say something like, you know, my marketing plan's very detailed and cutting edge. It'd be tough for anyone to explain it unless they followed it every single day. And for that reason, that's why I need both of you to be there so I can explain it one time. And now they're going, that's, you know, must be a pretty detailed marketing plan. Must be something, you've got that, but now you're getting both of them there, okay? The next thing you want to do when you're on that initial call is go in last if possible, and also get them to make a promise to you that they won't list with someone else without having you in first, okay? There are some people who say go in first, whatever. I like to go in last as long as I get the promise from them that they're not going to list with someone else first. And there's really a couple reasons for that. You know, unfortunately, guys, in this industry, there are people who will say, you know, they'll get it, the listing at any cost. And they'll say, you know, I'll do it for this % if you'll list with me now and not talk to anybody else. And don't worry about Jared. He's a friend of mine. I'll call him and cancel the appointment. Don't you worry, like whatever. And they'll do that kind of stuff, okay? What we want to do to overcome those kind of sales tactics, while also getting them to make a promise to us they won't go with someone else, to say something like, you know, some salespeople are trained to be slick. Notice what we did there? They're slick. So if they hear it, they're like, oh, slick salesperson. And often drop their commission if you sign on the spot while they're there, because they know that they don't market your property the way I do. So rather than add more value, they just rely on old tactics of getting the listing at any cost and just drop their price to try to make that happen. I'm sure you agree that's not the type of negotiator you want representing you anyway. And I'm shaking my head no, okay? Now, I'm not asking that you guarantee that you'll list with me, but will you at least promise me that you won't sign any contracts with anyone else before I show you what I do different? Nobody's going to say no to that. They're like, yeah, because they don't have any intention of signing with anybody. Perfect. Now, what I did, this is very layered, is that if somebody comes in and says that, I've labeled them as slick. I've also created the whole us versus them mentality. And the other thing I've done is I've got them to start working with me early on by getting them to agree, make an agreement with me, right? Agree that you won't sign with anybody beforehand. We make me that promise. Now we're in an agreement together. We feel like we're on the same team. All of this is psychological, guys. It's like Jedi mind tricks, okay? I also created the secret of what I offer, making it sound like the other side doesn't want them to see what it is that I'm gonna present that's above and beyond what they do. Okay, it's all sales 101. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna get off the phone until I've actually given them an assignment. Okay, and so I let them know that as soon as I get back to the office, or as soon as I get off this phone, or as soon as whatever, I'm gonna send you an email that I need you to look at that will have some instructions for a few things that I need from you. That I need you to do as soon as possible in order for me to do my job to the best of my ability, okay? So I'm getting them in, we're working together again. And then I'm gonna send them an email the moment we get off, and it's gonna include amazing video testimonials from past clients. These are gonna frame you. They're gonna be specific to that person's situation. So if they're in a situation where, you know, they're worried about selling their house before they find another one, you're going to have testimonials specific to that situation from other people that say, wow, Jared was amazing. We were worried about finding another one, but we pushed forward with him and trusted him, and bam, it was amazing. He found us something, and you're going to make them feel good. It's going to frame you. You're going to ask them what they think the top 3 selling points are of the house. You're going to ask them what they think the top 3 potential obstacles are for selling the house for buyers. And you're going to ask them who they think the ideal buyer is. All of these are going to come back later in the presentation. And they're also going to tell us who this person is, okay? Because if they answer that question and they say that, you know, the 3 best selling points are, you know, it's tough to only list 3, and then they say three biggest obstacles for buyers, and they go, there are none, we know we're dealing with a stone cold psycho, okay? Like, we know that this person is not realistic, this person. So this is, but it's also letting us know what's great about their house, what they think is a downside of their house, and who they think the ideal buyer is, which we'll be using again in a little bit, Okay, now for the actual listing appointment, for the walkthrough, first thing first, when you get there, you need to get there in the right state of mind. Put on the music that pumps you up, put on something that gets you going, listen to me or someone else that like puts you in that frame of mind. Get in the right state of mind. You only have one chance. A wasted listing appointment is a waste of time. You have one chance. Get there early. I hate that I have to say this, but like not realtor time, 10 minutes late. They can be late, you can't. A lot of people don't trust you and don't even know why they don't work with you or why. And it was simply because you showed up late in the beginning and they've never even wrapped their mind around the fact that that's why they've never connected with you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you show up to my house late for an appointment and you don't have a real good excuse, I'm not talking about we had an appointment at 5:30 and you hit traffic. You know there's traffic then. So you just told me you don't prepare, right? I'm talking about there was an accident, there was an emergency, there was, you know, whatever. Don't lose before you ever even begin by being late. Okay? Get there early. Okay, on time is late. If you need to, get there early, pull around the corner, be that weird person that people call the cops on, sit on the side of the street and prepare before you go there. But get there early. Okay? At some point when you get in the house, and this is how you're going to find out who the decision maker is, you're going to go in, you're going to pet their dog and act like you love the fact that its hair is getting all over you. And then you're going to say something like, and you're going to look at nobody in the eye. You're going to Stevie Wonder this thing. You're just going to say, perfect. So who's going to show me all over this big, beautiful house? And then you're going to wait and see who responds. And the response is going to tell you who the alpha is. It's going to tell you who you need to pay attention to. Because either the alpha is going to step up and say, I'll show you, or the decision maker is the other person is going to look over to the alpha, to the decision maker, look for their okay to show you around, and then they're going to show you around. You just found out that that other person is the alpha, the decision maker that you need to be focused on, okay? So that's why you do that. Next thing you're going to do, when you're walking around the house, remember that it's emotional for them. Those 3 things that I told you were selling points, you're going to make a big deal about them. Those 3 potential obstacles for buyers, you're not going to mention them at all because they already know they're an issue. And if you make a big deal about it, they're going to think that you're picking on their house. And you're going to go find the lines where they measured their kids and saw the height, and you're going to do all this stuff. And you're going to make such a big deal about it, how beautiful it is, how, you know, whatever, because it's emotional for them. People make decisions about this from an emotional standpoint, okay? What you're not going to do, the next thing, is be so robotic and tell them what you think takes away or adds value. Why? Because when you go around trying to be an expert, telling them what you think takes away or adds value, they're going to assign it to you as you're the one who thinks it takes away value. Your words you want to use, the phrase you want to use is research tells us, okay? So that means you're going to walk into the kitchen and you're going to go, wow, I can really see what you were doing here with these purple polka dots all over the kitchen. A real Barney feel for the kids. I'll bet the kids loved eating in here. You know, research tells us, though, we should probably do a little bit more of an earth tone color just to get you the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. But I can completely see what you were doing here. This is amazing, okay? I'm going a little like overboard with it, but you guys see what I'm saying. Never give them what you think your opinion is. Always tell them research tells us, okay? Next thing, when you're sitting down in the presentation, don't go on forever, okay? There's specific things I'm not going to cover right now because they're specific to your brokerage, but here's the main things you want to understand, okay? First thing, there's 3 things that all sellers want to know, okay? How much is their house worth is 1. What are you going to do differently to sell it? And number 3, how much do you charge, right? That's the main things that they're looking for. Important that you make them understand that the value of the home is something the market controls. You don't control the market, okay? You know the market and you're going to give them recommendations, but that's the market, okay? We don't control the market. The market is shifting all the time, okay? But the first thing you want to do when you sit down with them is understand that you want people to choose you because of your process, not because of price, okay? If you are, again, acting like you control the market, and if you're going in there and simply trying to price beat somebody, then any new agent, any idiot agent, anything can win simply by lowering their price. Seth Godin calls it a race to the bottom, okay? You don't want to get into that. You want to talk about the process you follow. People make decisions every single day, not based on price. This watch I'm wearing isn't the cheapest watch in the world. The shirt I'm wearing isn't the cheapest t-shirt in the world. This Yeti here is not the cheapest Yeti that someone can get. The shoes I'm wearing, we make decisions based, the only time we make decisions purely on price is when we think there's no difference between who can offer the same thing to us. Then we make a decision on price because all things are equal. So you have to focus on your process. What you do differently than everybody, your marketing process, your follow-up process. If you have a team, your structured process, all of that process, you need to focus process, so that they understand that you are different. Next thing you want to do is you want to start off that sit down with the question, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are 2 or 3 things that need to be a 10 in order for you to feel comfortable making the right decision to hire me before I leave here today? That's called creating different expectation, because they have an expectation they're going to talk to 2 or 3 people and make a decision in a few weeks. You have the expectation you want them to sign with you by the end of the day, by the end of the night. So you got to ask a better question. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are 2 or 3 things that need to be a 10 in order for you to feel comfortable making the right decision to hire me before I leave today? And now you've not only, if they answer that question, created the expectation that if those things are a 10, they're going to work with you that day, they're going to sign with you that day. You've set yourself up for a closing later, which we'll go into. They've also told you what you need to focus on. So now you can get rid of all that 90% of the stuff that's in your brokerage packet that nobody cares about or anything else. And now you can focus on the 2 or 3 things that actually matter to them. What do you do to market my property above and beyond throwing it on the MLS and praying? What are you going to do to follow up with people and communicate back to me to let me know what there's like? They're going to tell you what it is that they care about, okay? Next thing you want to do is you want to come in with the ideal research on who their ideal buyer is. You want to come in with research on who their ideal buyer is and actually have an example of that, okay? That's why you ask them who the ideal buyer was, because now you're going to walk in there and you're going to actually bring in, and I have trainings on this on YouTube and other places that you can watch, you're going to actually bring in with you a screenshot of a Facebook, an Instagram ad, a Google ad, or something you did that shows their property, shows the coming soon ad or the just listed ad, shows on the side like Facebook and Instagram show and Google shows this ad is going to reach 23,978 people. You're going to show them that you actually put in the targeting for the ideal buyer that they mentioned, who's likely to buy and all these things. And as soon as you make the right decision to work with me, I'm going to hit submit, or my marketing person's going to hit submit, and it's going to show up on the phones, on the computers, on the ads of these 23,298 people the moment you make the right decision to hire me. And that has nothing to do with what's going on the MLS, these are separate ads that just show up in front of people when you make the right decision to hire me, okay? When you do that, you're leveraging 2 things. Number 1, you're leveraging guilt. They're like, wow, that looks really difficult. They made this, nobody else did this. And they feel guilty you put all that work in. They don't know it's super simple. The second thing that you're leveraging there is loss aversion. It means that people make decisions not just on whether they're saying yes or no, they make decisions based on the fact they don't want to lose what they feel like they already have. So when they see that ad and they realize it's going to go out to those 23,298 people, if they don't go with you, they don't get that. And that's loss aversion. They're like, I want that. I want to have that. How do I do that, right? And so you're leveraging those 2 things by actually showing it to them, okay? Next thing you do is you want to explain to them what you do differently with open houses and such. Explain to them that Sunday papers have stopped working. Show them their digital marketing, the Facebook, Instagram, Google ads that you're going to put out there for open house. Show them what you do differently with all of your signs and your sign-ins and how you follow up from those sign-ins and how you create interest for a property. Like, you got to actually show this stuff to them so they can see what it is that you actually did. Tell them you do a separate open house just for the neighborhood. You know, everybody calls them nosy neighbor, but nobody sells a neighborhood like the neighborhood. You know, show them this stuff. Really, it's for you, because when a property goes up, another one goes up the next month. You want them to come through so that you can create relationship and sell their house too. But nobody sells it like a neighborhood. Show them, actually explain to them, communicate to them what you do differently with your open houses. Buy their domain, whatever their domain is, 123mainstreet.com. You know, 37 Jefferson Ave. Whatever. It's going to cost you $2.99. Through a place like Listings to Leads, if you go to Listings to Leads, LISTINGS.com /Jared James, you can get a free month. I think usually they're like $30 a month. you can actually create through that domain a landing page marketing page where like you can show them, here's your house, I own it, 123mainstreet.com. I literally own your domain already. So if anybody else tries to come in and list your house, I already own this. And here's where we're going to drive traffic. Here's where they fill out the information, fill out the form to get more information. Here's how the leads come through. Here's where the pictures are going. Like, show it to them. It won't take you a lot of time. You can literally duplicate it and put it on each domain that you buy. But now you're like, I already own your home domain. Like, that's crazy. And they're like, I can't lose that. I can't go with someone else. Sure, go with someone else. They can buy it from me, this domain, for $20,000. Like, loss aversion, guys. Start leveraging that. Sixth thing, don't use those terrible syndication list pages that so many of you use that show that when they work with you, it's going to go to these 107 websites and whatever. Nobody's ever heard of 105 of them, okay? What you really want to do is you want to use that against them, or use that against the other realtors and say, hey, you know, some realtors still use these, which shows that they're more interested in impressing you with useless info they are with actually putting the marketing dollars towards places that actually work. Research shows us that X number of top sites that we should be targeting. Remember, we don't price houses. The market does that, okay? But we do position them in the best places to attract the highest bidders in the shortest amount of time. Does that make sense? And now you're setting them up again when people go in there with those syndication sites, which are such nonsense. Most people don't even visit those places. Next thing you want to do is you do want to show them your postcards and show them your marketing materials and show them the letters you use. And this is just the old school to make them feel good about what you're doing and say, yeah, we do a lot of the digital, but we also are going to do this kind as well. You know, it's different things for different people. Like, there's different markets out there. There's different. And so we're going to show them that as well to make them feel good about it. Okay. This is also the time where if you have a team, this is when you're going to outline the roles of like what those teams do and how they work, and you know, why it's important, and how there's different personality profiles for all these different parts of the team, and how you can't work with an individual and expect them to be able to do all these different things. And if they say they're going to do all these things, I hope that they're good at what they do, but not too good, because then they'll have more business come in and they won't be able to do the things for you. Like, you know, and if you're an individual, you make the opposite argument. You don't make an argument for teams. You say, I'm going to be here for you. I personally will be calling everybody. I personally will be updating you. You've got to leverage the situation according to where you are in your own situation, okay? And then that's where you close. And if you noticed, I haven't even talked about commission rate or anything, because I'm literally going to close with them and just try to like, try to just kind of write it into my listing presentation and act like it's nothing. I charge 6, I charge 7, I charge whatever. And I'm going to let them make a big deal about it if they're going to make a big deal about it. But first I'm going to close and I'm going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you said at the beginning of our conversation that on a scale of 1 to 10, these 2 or 3 things need to be a 10 in order for you to feel comfortable making the right decision to hire me today. Do you feel like those 2 or 3 things were a 10? And they were going to say, yeah, I do. Well, we made an agreement. Perfect. So you want to sign and have this go on tonight, or do you want to sign and have it go on Monday when more people are actually whatever? Or they're going to say no. If they say no, I'm telling you, we can learn all the tactics and strategies in the world. Chances are you're not coming back from it because they're probably not comfortable with you. Or there are people who just don't say yes on the spot, okay? But you got to at least ask the question. Now, if they come back and they start talking about commission and they say, well, you know, no, that's too high. We're not going to do that percent. We're not going to, first off, you didn't do your job with the process, getting process over price. But when they say, well, so-and-so said they do it for blank percentage. Great. At least so-and-so knows what he or she is worth. Smile. But I know what I'm worth too. And I also know what your home is worth. And lucky for you, I'm going to fight for its value the same way that I fight for my own. Good? And they're like, crap, because you just did a tie down. The value of you compared to the value of their home. Okay? So you got to keep these things in mind. You got to know how to do that though. Okay? And at this point, you're going to use that line. You're going to fight back on your commission. You're going to fight for everything you can on it, and you close again. Okay? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is there anything else that's keeping you from making the right decision of hiring me and to get started and marketing your home right away? That it like just go right back into the close. Don't be afraid to close. Salespeople, which you are one of, talk about features and benefits. Okay? We do this, and it's going to do this for you, and it's going to whatever. but they don't close, okay? You've got to jump out of that and now go into closer, because closers are who make all of the money, period, okay? If you want to make money at listings, you got to become a closer. You set yourself up, and then you close, okay? Guys, again, send an email, yes@jaredjamestoday.com if you would like the manual on this that actually walks through those 4 phases, explains every part of it and why you're doing it. As always, too, if you enjoyed this, you just want to connect or ask me a question, go connectwithjared.com. On there, you can connect on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and YouTube and my podcast and all these things, guys. Always a pleasure. Hope I get a chance to be with you guys again soon. See you in person. Thank you so much. Hope this was helpful.